Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And as promised, what I have for you today are Japanese and Korean horror films. And I tried to, this is not a comprehensive list, but I did try to grab a little something for everyone, from the true horror to some more thrillers to maybe even some comedies in here. And I did separate them out. I'm going to do the Japanese films first, and then I'll break away. I'll get the Korean films and we'll do it that way, so you know which is which. I did avoid the Criterion collection because that is just a whole entirely different black hole of itself that we could go down, and I'm going to do that next month, with the exception of my first movie. And the reason I picked this one is because every time I do these lists, you guys ask for it, and I understand why. So the first film we're going to talk about is 1977's House. And this is a wild, acid-laced fever dream of a movie. It is crazy. Even on the back, they say they don't know how to describe it. They say, how do you talk about this indescribable 1977 movie House? Is it a psychedelic ghost story, a stream of consciousness bedtime story, or an episode of Scooby-Doo as directed by Mario Bava? Or maybe all of the above. Basically, we have as a group of friends, a young gal. She takes her friends to stay with her aunt at her aunt's house, and it turns out the aunt's house is haunted. However, this is unconventional in every way possible. The cinematography is wild. The things that happen are wild. It is a wild, wild experience of a movie. So my recommendation, if you don't know anything about this, definitely do your homework before you pick it up, because people either love this or not. I love it, but I have to be in the right headspace to watch it because it is just a wild ride. But it's a lot of fun if this is your thing, and I couldn't leave it off the list because I know how much so many of you enjoy this movie. Like I said, 1977, it's only 88 minutes, it's in color, and it is Japanese with English subtitles. And for my friends who love spy numbers, it is spy number 539. It's been in the collection for quite a while, and it is quite popular. So House is my first Japanese film recommendation. Now this next one has an American remake, which is really very popular, The Ring, and this is the Japanese version, the original, Ringu. And the premise is very much the same. So if you know the American version and you enjoy that, I really think you'll enjoy this Japanese original one. We have a reporter who knows of a tape. You watch the tape, and 7 days later, you die. She enlists the help of her ex-husband to try to kind of get to the bottom of things, and you know how the story goes. But I think this is very well done. I really do enjoy this original one, and I do enjoy the American remake. I think it's one of the better remakes. So I go back and forth between which one I like more, but I highly recommend, if you like the American one, you haven't seen the original, definitely check out the original. There's a whole box set, but I just figured just pulling the one was easier. So, on my little table, space efficient. This next one, I don't hear too many people talk about this one. It's based on, it's a live action of a celebrated horror manga. Hopefully I said that right. Is it manga? Manga? Anyway, a magazine. And we have this 35-year-old guy, this fella right here, and he's really kind of a wishy-washy guy. He does his thing, he goes to work, he does his things for his magazine, and he has these fantasies in his head to kind of keep him occupied, and they're basically delusions of grandeur, that he's going to be this big heroic guy in some situation, but he's just not that person. That's not who he is. And it turns out that there is a viral outbreak. So this is an infected movie, because there's a viral outbreak, and it's turning the citizens of the city into cannibals, and he has to try to get him and as many of his co-workers as he can to safety. So all of a sudden he's thrown into this role of being this hero that he's always wanted to be, and it's really fun, it's really well done, and I think this one deserves a lot more attention than what it gets, because like I said, I don't really hear anybody talk about this. So if you haven't seen I Am a Hero, do your research, check it out, see if it's something that you'd be interested in. I really did enjoy it. So that's my next one. Now this one is this is creepy to no end. It's called Grateful Dead, and if you look it up, put in Grateful Dead 2013, or you're just going to get a bunch of Grateful Dead band movies that come up. But it's a third window film, and that's what it looks like. And basically what it is they kind of sell it as a dark comedy. I really find it more horrific and tragic and creepy. We have this gal who was raised in a very abusive situation, and you really feel sorry for her, the way she was raised, the way her parents raised her, but she ends up coming into a lot of money, which lets her live any way she wants. She has pretty much no restrictions. And then what ends up happening is, just emotionally and mentally, she just becomes undone, and she really becomes sort of like a stalker, and she preys on elderly single people, and she's spying on them, and like I said, she's got like this stalker mentality. But this has some really, really cringe moments, but not cringe in the typical way. It's more cringe because it's so unsettling and so unnerving. But this is another one. Like I said, they sell it as a dark comedy. There's some things that are so odd that you might laugh a little bit, but I just think this is just a straight up horror movie. And like I said, she's a very unhinged stalker. So if you haven't heard of this one or you don't know about it, do a little research, see if it's something that you'd be into. It's definitely on the gory side, so just be prepared. But Grateful Dead is another one. I don't hear anyone talking about that one. Now, Missing. This one, I would say, falls more into the thriller category, but I think it'll be good for people who maybe are interested in getting into Japanese horror thrillers, but aren't into like the hardcore horror, because some Japanese and Korean films they go there. They're not afraid. And this is a film about a guy who's a widower, and he's really having trouble making money. He's having trouble making ends meet. He's trying to take care of his daughter on his own. And he realizes that there is this serial killer on the loose, and there is a reward out for him. And he believes that he has seen him, and he tells his daughter his plan is to capture this guy and bring him in for the reward money. And she just thinks her father's nuts until her father goes missing, and then she is trying to find him. But this is a really good one. I enjoyed this one. Like I said, it's not fully horror, but I think it has enough horror elements that it can be included in this video. So definitely check out Missing, and I think this is one that most people can handle. So definitely look into that one. This is another one that falls into the same category of more of like a ghost story, and it's more creepy than gory or scary. So I think this is another good one for most people. And there is also an American remake. Wasn't crazy about that. It's okay, but I think this original is much better, and it's called Dark Water. We have a mom who's trying to raise her young daughter on her own, and she moves into the only apartment that she can afford, and it's just this really rundown, dilapidated building, and there's water. There just seems to be water everywhere. And along with that, she's having these really strange visions, and there's like this really like, it's almost like a paranormal type of thing where she's seeing things and she's not sure if they're there. She's not sure what they mean. And at its heart, this is a ghost story, but I think it's very well executed. I think it's very creepy. It's very tense, and you have to put some of the pieces together on your own, but you'll get it. And I think if straight up horror isn't your thing and you're more into the ghost story and the paranormal stuff, I think you'll be fine handling this one. And like I said, I like this one much more than the American remake. I thought this was much better. So Dark Water would be my next recommendation. Now this one I've talked about. I talked about the Criterion version of this one, but this is the Eureka Masters of Cinema. It's Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure. And again, like I said, we have, I've talked about this before this month. We have this series of murders that are happening, and this is the detective who's working on the case. And when he talks to the people who've committed the murders, they really don't know why they've done it. They don't really have a reason, and he starts to believe that maybe they've been hypnotized. So it is it's a very creepy detective story. It's very good. It's very well done. I found it very interesting. I thought the acting was great. And this one is one that it will just keep you on the edge of your seat. And I'm so happy that there's now a Criterion release, because I think this is a masterpiece of a film, honestly. But it was very hard to get in the United States. But now that we have a Criterion version, definitely put it on your list to check out for the upcoming November sale, because it's well worth the look if you like horror, thriller type of things. And this is really good. Now, this other one I talked about the other day, it's Audition. Very cut and dry, straightforward. We have a guy who's a widower, and his friends are telling him you need to start dating again. So he and his friends set up these fake auditions so he can meet people, he can start dating. He meets this gal who seems very sweet, very normal. She is just unhinged, and it just goes wrong. And I can tell you, if you're thinking about dating, this is going to creep you out to no end. But if you haven't seen Audition, definitely put it high on your list for films to see. It's a good one. And this next one, this is just fun. I've talked about it so many times on the channel, and I keep hoping that it's going to catch on and more people are going to watch it. It is hilarious. It's called One Cut of the Dead. And basically what this is the first 37 minutes are so weird you're going to want to turn it off, but don't. It is the filming of like an independent film of a zombie movie, and it's in this big warehouse, and it just seems so weird. Once that's over, they cut away and it becomes a making of the movie. It is hilarious. It is so funny, and I always say it's, if you could imagine the cast of The Office making a zombie movie, that's exactly what this is, except it's in Japanese. But it is so much fun. Ride it out for the first 37 minutes and you're gonna have the time of your life. And this is fun for anyone. I think anyone will enjoy this one. So that's my next one. And my last one, I'm not sure that this definitely falls into the horror category, but for me, I think it's horrific enough. I think the whole concept is horrific, and I don't know. I think it has enough horror elements to put it in there, and it is Battle Royale. And what we have, this is basically what the Hunger Games ripped this off. It's a retelling, but this does it so much better. This is so brutal. The government takes a group of middle schoolers and they put them on an island, and they are supposed to kill each other, just like Hunger Games. Very violent, very brutal, very gory. And if you are sensitive to things like violence with children, things like that, just take a pass on this one, because it definitely is going to hit all the nerves, and not in a good way. So I think this is a very wild ride. I think it's brutal. I think it was very ahead of its time, and obviously somebody liked it enough to make the whole Hunger Games series based on this. But if you know the Hunger Games, you pretty much know this, but just ramp it up like 10 notches, and that's what you have. So Battle Royale would be my final Japanese movie recommendation, and I'm going to grab my Korean films and we're going to finish this one up. Okay, I'm back and I have my stack of Korean films, and I have some new ones to talk about, and then others I have some crowd favorites that we just couldn't leave off the list because I would be remiss, and maybe not everyone has heard of them before. Now this first one is it's a Kino Lorber release, and it is called Thirst, and it's straight up, it's a vampire movie. We have a gentleman who's a priest, and I believe he's in Africa, and he has to get a blood transfusion. The blood transfusion turns him into a vampire, and he is now craving two things: blood and sex, two things that are not readily available for him. And he meets this young gal who it feels like he has an interest in. He has a sexual interest in her. He's attracted to her. And we go through the movie with him trying to satisfy these urges that he has without, in a sense, breaking his vows or doing things that go against what he believes. And that's very, very difficult to navigate. And I can tell you, this is a very gory film. It's a vampire film, and that's what you're getting. And it's also, there's some pretty graphic eroticism in this one. So if those are not your things, then maybe take a pass on this one. But if you like vampire films and you want a good one, and one with a little bit of a different flair on it, a little twist on it, check out Thirst. It's a good one. I thought this was very well done, and like I said, a little gory, more gory than sometimes I would have wanted, but all in all, I thought it was a very good film, and I definitely will watch it again. Now this next one I touched on briefly. I didn't really get too far into it, but it is called A Tale of Two Sisters. This is the Umbrella release. It says Region B, but like I said before, I've said it many times, but for those who don't know, anything from Umbrella, even if it says Region B, it's going to play in anything. They're all region free. But this is, the long and short of this one is we have two sisters, and one of them is coming home. She has been hospitalized for different emotional things, emotional issues. Maybe she was acting out at home, things like that. And she is home on what it seems like is a probationary period, because her dad and her stepmother both tell her, you know, if we start to see any of your old behaviors, you're going back to treatment. So she's home, and she has a very close relationship with her sister. They are not fans of the stepmother, and we start to see things happening. We see flashbacks to the past. We see things happening that maybe don't make sense, but it seems like the longer she's home, the more problematic her behavior is becoming, and there's always this thing hanging over her head that, you know, you're going to go back if you don't stop. But we don't really understand sometimes why she's doing what she's doing. All I can say with this one, without ruining it, is be patient because the payoff is huge. It is a wonderful film. It's great. And again, this is one that I think pretty much anyone can handle. It's not gory or horrific. It's really just I don't want to say any more, but pretty much anyone can handle this. Tale of Two Sisters. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a good one. Now this one, I never hear anyone talk about this one, and I think it deserves so much more attention than it gets. It's from the studio that brought you Train to Busan. It says it right on the front, and it is called Rampant. And on the back, they say Game of Thrones meets 28 Days Later. Maybe. We have a guy who has, this guy, he's been in exile from the kingdom. His father is the king, and then he has a brother. When his father dies, he comes back to the village because he wants to protect the village in the absence of his father. And what he finds out is that at night, we have these zombies coming after the villagers in the village and trying to kill people in the village. So he takes it upon himself to try to protect the village that was once his home and is now his home again. But I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to ruin it. But if you haven't seen Rampant, definitely do some homework on it and check it out because I think it's really good and I think it's overlooked and it really deserves more attention than it gets. I think it's very well done and I think most people will enjoy it. I just don't think anyone talks about it. Now this next one I mentioned in my collection video, but here it is again. It's Ganam Haunted Asylum. This is for the found footage fans. This is a found footage movie where we have a group of, I believe they're students, and they're making a movie. I'm sorry, Pima's saying hello. She's ready for her dinner. They're making a film, and what they're doing is they're going into this abandoned asylum to get footage and hopefully catch maybe some of the spirits that have lingered after the asylum has closed. And we find that the farther they go into this, the creepier and the scarier it gets. And like I said, I'm not usually a fan of found footage, and this is one that really kind of got under my skin, and it was definitely way more effective than found footage tends to be. I thought this was really, really good. So if you haven't checked it out, here's the name if you want to look it up, because I probably butchered it, but definitely give this one a look, because I think it's one of the better found footage ones. Now this one I've talked about before. This is a tough watch, but I think it's very well done. It's called Bedeviled. We have a gal who's living on, she's living on an island where she has lived her whole life. She contacts a childhood friend and asks her to come and visit. And the bottom line is she wants to leave the island. She wants her friend to help her get off the island because she is being so horribly abused in every way you can imagine. And if that is going to trigger you, definitely give this one a pass because it's really some tough stuff. But it's really well done, and the payoff is in the end because this is the ultimate revenge film. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But if you can handle the story, then definitely give Bedeviled a look. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I know you won't be disappointed. Now this one is, the next one is from Bong Joon-ho, who you probably know best from Parasite, things like Parasite, Snowpiercer, Memories of Murder, and this is his creature feature. It's called The Host. And what we have is we have a lake area where we have a family who has a little snack shop, if you will, and there is a creature that comes out of the body of water, the lake type thing, and grabs one of the little girls that's playing on the side of the lake and takes her. And now the search is on to find this little girl. And if you like creature features and you like Bong Joon-ho, you definitely won't be disappointed in The Host. And if you've seen it, you already know it's a lot of fun, and it's a great Korean creature feature. So definitely check out The Host. This one I've talked about also. It's called I Saw the Devil, another fantastic revenge film. We have a detective whose his fiance is killed by a serial killer, and this guy picked the wrong gal to kill because the detective decides to take it into his own hands and hunt down this serial killer on his own, and he just tortures him as far as revenge. And I don't want to get into what he does because it is like nothing I have ever seen before, but I thought it was it's what you would probably want to do to anyone who killed someone you loved, and it is so well done. And some people didn't put this in the horror category, but I think this is a straight up horror film, and I know it is for the guy, but it was a straight up horror. But this is really, really good. So if you haven't seen I Saw the Devil, definitely give it a look. Now, I would be remiss if I left these next two off, because they're so good and they're so popular. And Train to Busan, probably the best zombie movie ever made in my humble opinion. I just think this is fantastic, and if you haven't seen Train to Busan and you're a fan of zombies and fast-moving zombies, you're going to love this one, so definitely check it out. People ask me about Peninsula, which is the one that came out after Train to Busan. I have to give it another look. I was very, very tired the first time I tried to watch it, so I'm going to give it a rewatch, and then I'll let you know what I think of Peninsula. And this next one, again, I would be remiss if I left this off the list, and it is called The Wailing. Now, the thing about this one is it's a rather long run time. It's 2 hours and I believe 36 minutes, so it's a long one. And it is a slow build of a movie, but you have to be patient with it because there is a huge payoff. And what we have is, it's a pretty simple premise. We have a guy who has moved in, a stranger who's moved into the area. And what we find is there are murders going on. These people are getting sick. They're getting sick with this virus. And then there's murders that are happening, and we have these detectives that are called in to try to figure out what is going on, and they keep focusing on this stranger who's moved into the area at the same time when all this started happening. And what we do is we follow them on their investigation, and at one point very early on in the movie, one of the detective's daughter, his daughter, starts to show evidence that she could have the symptoms of this virus that seems to be going around, and so he is even more compelled to figure out what is going on. But I think this is an amazing movie. Like I said, it's a slow build and it's got a long run time, so just be patient with it because the payoff is well worth it. It is such a fantastic movie, and if you haven't seen The Wailing, just give it a shot because you will not be disappointed. Highest recommendation for this one. And then this one is just, this is pure fun, and I've talked about it before. And I know a couple of people looked it up or picked it up and enjoyed it. It's Zombie for Sale. This is just fun. We have a pharmaceutical company that's doing some kind of experimentation that goes wrong, and we have a zombie outbreak, and one of the zombies finds his way to a family that owns a business, and they decide that they are going to use having this zombie as a way to make money, and it is just fun. It's laugh out loud fun. It's so different. It's such a different take on the zombie genre. And just when we thought we've seen it all, something fun like this comes out. So if you haven't seen Zombie for Sale, definitely check it out. I've even seen it on Hamilton Book. It's an Arrow release, but I've seen it without the slipcover for really reasonable prices. So you can pick it up right over on Hamilton Book if you if you can't find it anywhere else. I know it's on and off there on a regular basis. So check out Zombie for Sale. And that's it. Those are my Japanese and Korean horror movie recommendations for this month. And like I said, this list could have gone on forever. There are so many great movies in both categories, and I'm sure I'm going to do more of these lists, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found some titles that maybe you haven't heard of or you haven't seen yet. Check them out. Let me know what you think. I want to thank you all as always for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing, hit the bell notification so you know when I upload again, which should be Sunday. I had the live stream with Cinema Dave Media over on his YouTube channel tomorrow, 2 p.m. Saturday. We're there every week. And then Sunday, I'm going to be doing part 3 of my horror collection, so you'll see that video. So that's what's coming up. And for now, that's it. I'm going to go eat my dinner, play with my puppies, and for now, that's a wrap.